Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast focusing on e-commerce topics featuring interviews with prominent people in the e-commerce space.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations by Practical E-Commerce. I'm Kerry Murdock. Stephanie Leffler graduated from college and started selling sunscreen products online. That was around the year 2000. She became frustrated with her web developer, and she decided to produce a shopping cart herself. That cart became MonsterCommerce, an early-day hosted e-commerce platform that she sold in 2006 to Network Solutions. She's an e-commerce pioneer, in other words, and she's with us today to discuss her new venture, Juggles.com. Well, Stephanie, thank you for your time today.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Stephanie, you're an e-commerce pioneer. You founded MonsterCommerce. You built that company up. And then in 2006, you sold it to Network Solutions. I'm wondering why you sold MonsterCommerce and what you've done since then.
Well, thank you. I get excited every time I talk about this still. So in terms of why we sold networks to Network Solutions when we did, MonsterCommerce had grown to be a pretty large group of merchants. We had about 6,000 when we sold the company, and my partner and I started MonsterCommerce, almost right out of college after owning an online store for just a brief period of time, and we invested almost everything that we had into the company, and it got bigger and bigger, and as that asset grows as a small business owner, there comes a point where you start asking yourself, is now the right time to take some of the chips off the table? And we felt like we had been so fortunate, and it was a good time to take some of the chips off the table. And the reason that we did it precisely at that point is because when we met Network Solutions, we realized that was a great company to partner with. They started with a tough reputation when it came to customer service, and really had overcome that and done a complete turnaround. And we're really focused on customers and growing the e-commerce section of their business. Plus, they came to us and said, we want to keep your whole team. We want you to stay where you are in Belleville. And we had talked with some other companies who weren't quite as excited about keeping our whole team, and that was really important to us. So it seemed like good timing.
So you built this company up. It was an early day trend-setting company. You built it up. You threw everything you had into it. You sold it to a great company, Network Solutions. Then what did you do?
Well, immediately following the acquisition, my partner and I both stayed on at Network Solutions. I worked and ran their news channel sales and partner teams, so helped them go out and find new business and all sorts of partners and places that they hadn't been before, and that was really exciting. The majority of my job, however, was still putting two companies together, which was a new experience and something that was really exciting to be a part of, because I was learning something new every day. And I did that for 18 months. And around that point, I realized that what I was learning every day was starting to decrease, which makes sense. I'd been there for a while, and decided that it would be a good time to take some time off. And so my partner and I both left Network Solutions at the same time, and decided, my partner happens to be my husband, by the way, we decided to purchase an RV and drive across the country for a year with our dogs and see all the places in the United States that we had not seen. And that was a great idea and concept. Unfortunately, that trip only lasted about 6 weeks. 2 weeks on the road, we stopped at a Walmart and bought about 8 whiteboards and started brainstorming new business ideas. And before you know it, we were turning that puppy around, heading back to Belleville to rent some office space and start to build our next great venture.
It's a great story. All right, the next venture. When you do a venture, we're interested in hearing about it. So tell us about Juggle.com.
Yeah, absolutely. So Juggle is, it was kind of born out of our experience in e-commerce and thinking about products and how information about products is structured. We had some interesting thoughts there. Then we were using Wikipedia a ton and seeing all of this information that had never before been put out to the world in such great quantities become available. And we saw some problems that we thought we could solve. And I think that, the root of any great business, in my opinion, is when you think of a problem that you really have and then you solve it. If you can do that, generally, you can come up with a business that will be successful. And so we started to think about this problem of data and how it's all out there. It's unverified. It's spread around. It's tough to find what you're looking for. And we started to think, well, a product has attributes. It's structured. You can say product has a color. It's made of a material. It might have a height and a weight. And across a whole category of products, these attributes are the same. And so we started to think about other information in the same way. So if you take a person or a place or, say, a baseball team, all baseball teams have a mascot. They have pitchers. They have championships that they've won. And if you think about data like that, you can start to structure information about many, many things. And by structuring it, you can organize it, you can verify it, and you kind of know what you don't know. So you can have people go out and research things that you don't have coverage on as of yet. So Juggle, in its current form, is an online resource website. You can go and find information on about 400,000 topics and on about 1.5 million to 2 million products at any given time. And so, we're continuing to build on that information base, and we are now working on a stage where we're going out and adding additional data that we don't yet have about these topics, and having a scalable workforce that we've employed verify facts for us as well.
How do you get the data and the information that's on Juggle? Where does that come from?
It comes from several sources. We use a huge set of public online data. So we can kind of start with this big corpus of data that's out there in the public domain. Then once we have that data, we start to go and find specific pieces that we feel are absent or missing. And we use a scalable workforce for quite a lot of those small pieces of data that we know we need that aren't available in these sources that we're already aggregating.
Interesting. Give us some examples of some of the data for our listeners that haven't been to the site. Just give us some examples of some of the data that's on there, some of the information.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. It really ranges across a huge number of topics, but take the U.S. presidents, for instance. We have extensive data on every U.S. president. We have data on countries and automobiles, and so we have all these different categories. In terms of what do we have on a given topic, for a car, for instance, we'll have every last attribute that's on the sticker, plus we have all of the fuel economy information from the United States government that they publish. We have the safety ratings from all the insurance organizations out there. Just about anything and everything that you could come across about a given automobile, we will aggregate it and have it on our website. For the presidents, we have bills that they've passed, the people who are in their cabinet, their height, information about their wife and children, really anything you can imagine from their public to their private life.
You mentioned products earlier. Products as in products for sale?
Yes, right now we have information on products, and our goal is to build out the same quantity of information about each product that we do about our topics. So today, in my opinion, I think we have limited information on our products. There's kind of the basics there, but we then send leads for products out to merchants. And so our users will end up purchasing products on various merchant websites, but we're bringing them to Juggle to show them, reviews and all of the facts about the product that they're considering purchasing.
Well, speaking of products, you're an e-commerce. You started your career in e-commerce. You mentioned you had your own site, then, of course, MonsterCommerce. I know you have thoughts on the future of e-commerce. Could you share those with our listeners?
Yes. I think anyone will agree that, at least in the United States, we experience information overload on a daily basis. And I think the great thing that e-commerce has going for it is that people have adopted online purchasing in droves, and I don't think that kind of fear of buying online is there. Maybe a little bit, but really it's not a big issue the way it once was. The key now is the simplicity of the purchase and helping people filter the noise. So, from sites that make it phenomenally simple, Google's recent move to put product listings as part of advertisements so that people don't even have to go to a site. They can essentially get to the item that they want right from there, to getting to, some of the largest e-commerce merchants who are getting very, very good at predicting what you might be interested in and what you might want to buy. Helping people filter out all the noise and not putting everything under the sun in front of them, I think, is going to be a big key going forward. Payments are sure to change. You have the Square, SquareUp.com, I think, which is a payment platform that just launched a couple weeks ago by the gentleman who founded Twitter. It's a brilliant platform. I think how people actually can get their payment into their computer, if you will, is going to get a lot more simple. And so the small merchants really just need to keep doing what they're doing, be experts at what they do, and syndicate everywhere, in my opinion.
Syndicate on, give us some examples of where.
Sure.
Where?
Any place they can put their products, I think, will help them in their overall effort to be a larger player in the e-commerce world. So, as a small merchant, a lot of them don't know about all the outlets. So, Google Base, for instance, or it used to be called Frugal, Google Product Search. You have Yahoo Shopping. You've got Shopping.com, PriceGrabber, Shopzilla, you name it. There are Shopping.com. There's millions of these guys out there. And I think a lot of merchants are a little bit wary because they think their margins are going to be really slim if they're paying on a per-click basis or on a per-sale basis to all these people. But that may be true, but there's also value in getting people familiar with your store and how many repeat visitors you can drive or repeat sales you can drive from those initial purchases. So, users are going everywhere to buy things. Loyalty is hard to gain online, and so the more places a small merchant can put their products, it just increases their chance of kind of getting a grip on some customers and becoming successful.
Stephanie, we have just a couple of minutes left. One question I might ask you here is the future of shopping carts themselves in our last couple of minutes. We count, that's a business you used to be in. You were a trendsetter in that business. We count here at Practical E-Commerce, we count in excess of 350 separate shopping carts. There's probably more than that, but that's our latest count. What's the future of all those shopping carts?
That's a great question. For a long time, I thought that the security and all of the requirements to be highly secure would cause a consolidation in the industry. So far that hasn't happened, but I think the one thing that is sure is that some of those shopping carts and software companies are going to realize that the key is not just providing a platform for sales, but it's actually helping those merchants sell. So however those shopping cart providers can do that, whether it's through recommendations, and kind of taking some of those software tools that are available to the big guys, Amazon and eBays of the world, and wrapping those into their platform so smaller merchants can have access, the A/B testing, or having a marketplace that promotes their products and brings sales to those merchants. I think that that's really what is going to be the thing that propels a few of these guys to the head of the pack. I think there will always be a lot of e-commerce providers, but there's no question that there's a handful today that are kind of in the lead, and I think if they can help their merchants sell, that's going to solidify their position.
Okay. Well, for purposes of our listeners again, Stephanie's newest venture is Juggle, and that's at Juggle.com. And Stephanie Leffler, the CEO and co-founder of Juggle.com, we want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
That's all the time we have for this week's e-commerce conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. Please tune in next week for another new episode.